Hello, Jim here at Fifield Farm. We're going to do a part 2 to this seized Gravely video that I did. We did get it running, but we developed a rod knock. So we're going to pull that motor off. I found another motor a friend of mine had. It is a 14 horse. The one on here is a 12 horse, but the crankcase is the same. The bolt patterns should work. We're going to give it a whirl. So let's get at it. Well, we're back to square one. Our donor motor will not work because of the PTO shaft is the wrong size. So let's see if we can rebuild this one. Pull the head off first if the cylinder is too gouged because it was burning oil really bad. So before we go any further, let's get the head off. Let's look at the cylinder. If the cylinder doesn't have any gouges or scores in it, then possibly get the connecting rod out and look at the damage to the crank because it was knocking pretty bad. Well, I guess it would help if I undid the wiring. I already had one head bolt out to put a bolt in to pick it up with the cherry picker. Set it up here on the bench. Watch our sizes. So far, I think they're all the same. Yep. Must have something to do with being a cast iron block. I'm so used to Briggs. The 3 long ones go around the exhaust port. They're all the same. All right, let's see. Let's see what we got here. Clean, 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 clean. And she's got some carbon built up because of all the oil that's burning. Well, that's some good news. Very, very minor. Very minor. I don't know if you can see. I believe that cylinder can be saved. I think with just deglazing, I don't know how much. Yeah, it does have a little bit of a ridge, but you know, they say you can feel 2/1000ths with your fingernail. I can't feel 2/1000ths. But we'll look at the specs We'll gauge it out. So now we got to get the flywheel off and see if we can look at that rod. See how bad the rod is. And not worried about the rod. The rod's probably easily replaced, but the condition of the crankshaft. I believe this has roller bearings in it. Looks like either a double seal. You see the way it's facing. It's facing to keep the gear oil out of the crankcase, unless there's a double seal on it, which one would be the opposite way. Well, she sure does spin really smooth now that it's not seized up. But let's take her apart. See what we got. I feel no end play. Absolutely zero end play. I think I'm going to leave the flywheel on for now. You go halfway down with the piston. Oh boy, guys and gals. I don't know if you can hear it. Can you hear it? There cannot be anything left in that connecting rod. I can feel the play so much. Wow. Okay. Knock that carbon rib ring. That carbon off the top of that cylinder so when I push the rings out. Not that I'm going to save them rings anyway. Much better. Alrighty. Now that the oil is almost out, yeah, I don't want to throw that on the floor. Alright. Plug that back up for now. Alrighty. What's the best way to do this? Since the flywheel is still on, so we probably want that down all the way. We'll just set it on the flywheel. Watch what I grab here. There we go. Oh my God, guys and gals and whoever. Look at this. Look at this. Bolts are loose. The bolts are loose. Oh boy. Yeah, I can take them out with my finger. What the heck? Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Oh my gosh. Hey, whether they stretched, I don't know. Gotta make sure we get keep the cap orientated the right way. I'm sure there's a wow. Oh yeah, folks. You see that? Definitely got some. Definitely got some wear on that. So if we were on a desert island and we needed this desperately to survive, yeah, tighten it back up and you go back to work. But since that's not the case, it's not scored. I think the crank is okay. But the rod is not, because it's aluminum. The crank is steel, so you know. Crank is smooth enough to where I actually think wow. Some wear on those rings. The oil ring, which is the bottom one here. It is so flat. Wow. We might have some issues here with the top of the piston too. Ooh. See that? That don't look good. We might be doing piston and connecting rod. Oh yeah. Yeah, that piston shot. About, yeah, we got a bunch of ridges in there. So we're talking, you can see the burnout on the side of the piston here. It's hard to, it's different. There's actually material missing from it. So we need piston rings and a connecting rod, because I think the crank is fine. run the deglazer down this cylinder. I'm really surprised that there's no wear in the cylinder whatsoever. But there again, aluminum piston, steel cylinder. Yeah, I think that would clean up really nice. Oh yeah, we need a pan gasket too, and a head gasket. Pan gasket, head gasket. I'm gonna hit these valves right now. First of all, I gotta find out if those parts are available. And then the cost of them. See what kind of condition my valves are in. There's quite a bit of wear on that valve. Now the intake one doesn't look too bad. See if I can get me some parts for this machine. Well, we got all of our parts in for our engine. I just wanted to make sure I showed you the old valve. Versus a new one. Razor thin there. We're going to lap in a new valve. While I'm putting that in there, I'm checking the slop on the valve guide, and I feel none. I think our guide is good. Make sure you don't use the same rags on the engine assembly after you get done using the valve grinding compound. Make sure you throw those rags away. So after you lap in the valve, this is what you want to see. About 1/3 of the surface and the margin pretty centered. This looks pretty good. So with the cylinder atop dead center on the compression stroke, you want to make sure your valves are both closed. You can see that there is an adjustment screw. You hold it, the shaft on one side, and then there's a nut right here that shortens and lengthens the tappet, and that's where you get your valve adjustment. The intake valve on this machine is 9 thousandths, and the exhaust is 19 thousandths. Now we got the valve cover, which is also a breather. Clean this all up in the solvent tank. And we have new gaskets for it. And then we can put that back on the valve cover. This little smiley face vent, you want to make sure you have it pointing down. Well, while no one was looking, I ran my deglazing tool on my cordless drill in the cylinder, a little bit of oil on it, and I deglazed the inside of it. Turned out real well. I'm going to check it now with the new rings. We're going to check the end gap. we'll use the piston to square up the ring. You want it down into where it's wearing, not up the top. So you want to get it down there a little bit. Okay. Now we'll check the gap. Said no more than 30. So let's just jump right to 30. Looks like it's going to be pretty close. I can barely, let's try 29. 30, I'm forcing it. So we are at the maximum cylinder wear for a rebuild. All right, 28 is probably going to be pretty big slip fit then. I don't know, really. It's probably 29 because 28 is a little loose. 30, I have to force it. So we're at 29 thousandths on that ring gap. So we're going to go ahead and install the rings on the piston and connecting rod and finish our assembly here. Well, I didn't show you the complicated part, but using the O-ring compressor here. Put some lube on the rings, compress them down, pop the piston in, making sure the connecting rod was orientated correctly. This oil hole right here faces the cam, so we're good there. It was pre-lubed in there also, and then this was torqued down evenly to 22 foot-pounds about. So we're ready to put the cap back on. We can put the head back on, get the carburetor all put on, and get this thing mounted back over there onto the tractor. Well, it's sitting on its base, so we'll just keep on working on it here. By Jove, we got compression. Woohoo! Yeah, that's cool. Well, that certainly bothered me about that broken screw. It is a 1/4-20. I could just drill it out 7, a number 7, and could drill it out smaller, I suppose. I didn't want to mess that gasket up. Although I do think I have another one, but yeah, there's another gasket, but there's nothing wrong with it. I saved it. Well, get my little center punch in there and see if I can. Boy, she did a wander on me. Huh. Wandered off the steel into the aluminum. I got a hole in the head now. I think I can try putting that's a drill for 1024. Of course, it's not a very deep hole, so I do have a bottoming tap. I can just get some threads in here. I know it's not standard 1/4-20 to match the other ones. It's going to be an oddball. Yeah, I got a 1/4 inch or so. There you have it, folks. No more rattling. When she's running, she won't be going. All right. I think that's enough for today. Time for a break, and we'll get at it in the morning. I can put the air filter back on now. All right. See you. Well, we got the engine off the bench. Got it mounted back on. There's a double planetary gear set in there and a pilot bushing. So I lubed up the bushing and I used the floor jack there to slide it in, 4 bolts mounted. And we got to finish hooking up all the accessories, the cables and that. Meanwhile, the gas tank's off because I noticed the valve for the fuel shut off is bad. So I ordered a new one of these. We'll get it on. That'll be good for the customer. We got our new gas valve. Notice it has a strainer here. I'm using this pipe sealer. Just a little dab will do you in the threads. Picked up a new air filter for this. This one's a few years old. We'll replace it with this one. Okay, I think we're just about ready to see if this thing will fire up. Got oil in the engine. We got new oil in the gearbox. I didn't mess with the carburetor because it ran before in part 1, if you saw that. So let's give it a whirl. There you go, folks. Unbelievable. Well, that does it for the Gravely Part 2. Until next time, thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe. Have a good day.